सतवारी में इंडियन एयरफोर्स स्टेशन पर ड्रोन अटैक होता है और उसके बाद से लगातार इंस्टेंसेस आ रहे हैं जहां पर सतवारी और मिलिट्री एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स के आसपास रत्नुचक, कालूचक, अरनिया सेक्टर, इन सभी इलाकों में ड्रोन्स की मूवमेंट पाई जा रही है। जो मिलिट्री एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स हैं उनके आसपास ड्रोन्स होवर कर रहे हैं, वापस जा रहे हैं, कहीं ड्रोन्स को गिराया जा रहा है और ये इंस्टेंसेस और ज़्यादा फ्रीक्वेंट होते जा रहे हैं। ये समझने के लिए कि क्या ये एक चेंज है टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या जो भी परपेट्रेटर्स हैं उनकी स्ट्रैटेजी में कि अब ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी को और ज़्यादा फ्रीक्वेंटली यूज़ किया जा रहा है, और वहीं दूसरी ओर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ड्रोन्स को लेकर जो नए ड्राफ्ट रूल्स निकाल रही है उसमें ड्रोन्स की यूजेज को और ज़्यादा रिलैक्स किया जा रहा है। इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट आने वाले समय में पड़ेगा सिक्योरिटी सिनेरियो के ऊपर, ये सब समझने के लिए मेरे साथ हैं स्ट्रैटेजिक एक्सपर्ट और सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी जम्मू में नेशनल सिक्योरिटी स्टडीज़ डिपार्टमेंट में असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर जगन्नाथन। डॉक्टर जगन, सबसे पहले यही कि जिस तरीके से फ्रीक्वेंटली ड्रोन्स जम्मू रीजन में पाए जा रहे हैं, खासतौर पर मिलिट्री इस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स के पास, हु डू यू थिंक आर द परपेट्रेटर्स बिहाइंड इट? Is this being done by terrorist organizations? Is this Pak army sponsored, or does China have a role in it?
Look, first let's do an analysis about this incident, because a lot of investigations are underway, and the NIA has also started investigating this case. So let's see from this incident has some backdrop. We have been seeing these drones coming across the side, entering into our territory. A couple of years back, we had seen the drones flew over the Chandigarh. So these are the surveillance or spy drones. There are a lot of incidents we can have which have been registered, and some of the drones been shot. So there is a pattern that last 2.5 years or 3 years you can see that the drones been used by across the border. And now the question is who is using it, and who might have used this drone. The June drones used on this Jammu Air Base, and so for that you need to see the nature of this drone and attack. See, this drone which was used over this Jammu Air Force Base, it has dropped a IED on exactly on the Jammu Air Base. For there was not much severe casualty, but what it shows that is that they have demonstrated the capabilities to reach out your armed forces bases. So it's not about the impact that how many we are going to kill, how many we are going to do, damage your assets. It's about our capability to reach to your places. So by doing this, they have achieved the objective of creating a panic and sense of insecurity in your own base, which is called the military bases. Now, this is the objective. I think they have done it. Now the question is, who would have done it, or who would have done this? There are speculations are happening that this might have done by some locals here. The sleeper cells would have operated these things. But if you go by the nature of attack, if you analyze this nature of attack, exact precision and the pinpoint accuracy that they have dropped this IED, and the drones which could able to carry these IED explosives and flew over certain altitude, I mean almost a kilometer range over the sky, I seriously feel, or I see that this is being done by some military capability, military drones. I don't think so any commercial drones would have had this capabilities, or we could able to enhance these commercial drones capabilities to such level. The second question is, so military capabilities, you mean that military has been done it? So my analysis, other side is that in 2009, I think the Pakistan has developed its indigenous drone, combat drone, which is called Burak. So, and they claimed that it has been successful, because what happened when the US was using the drones in North Waziristan region on this terrorist organizations, and there was a lot of huge criticism, and in fact Pakistan, it created domestic political issues also. So Pakistan requested the Americans, you give us this technology, so we will go after those terrorists. But Americans, the US did not give the technology to Americans. Then the Pakistans. So the Chinese also wanted to help Pakistanis with some riders. So the Pakistanis developed on its own. Maybe perhaps got some technology from Chinese and then built it up and improvised. So this Burak drone, they have tested in 2000. I mean, they claimed to have tested successfully in 2009. And it is the counter to Burak is our Rustam drone, our combat drone, and they successfully used this drone in 2015 against the terrorists in the North Waziristan zones, and these drone flew over there and exactly killed those militants who are residing there in the in the peak hours in the midnight. So they have these capabilities. Now the question is, does it mean that the Pakistan army would have done it? I seriously think I don't think so that this would have been done by Pakistan army. But given their support that they have done in 2008 Mumbai attack, where the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which that time that nobody would have even imagined that the Lashkar-e-Toiba's terrorist organization would have been given a naval training by the Pakistan Navy. So when the Pakistani armed forces are training those non-state actors, particularly this terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Toiba, and giving this marine training, and that they demonstrated in Mumbai attack. Nobody had thought, even the Americans wouldn't have thought. In the post 2008, the Americans started looking at this Lashkar-e-Toiba. Until then, they were not focusing on Lashkar-e-Toiba.
Let me just stop you right here and try to understand something about this drone technology. Is this technology so advanced that you need training to operate a drone of such level, or the surveillance drones that are being spotted in different near different military bases, is that easier to operate?
See, there are three type of drones. So one is that the which is available in the online shopping and all, which is very rudimentary for using it for clicking a video, photography, and journal, this sort of things, which has a limited capacity. It cannot carry a payload, or it cannot carry a load. Then there is other commercial, which is not being full-fledgedly used in Indian context, or particularly places like Jammu. There is no need for to have drones, commercial drones, to be used by the businessman or business purposes. The third variety is a military drone, which is capable of delivering explosives. For instance, this particular drone, let's check this particular drone. This drone has dropped IED explosives. So I don't think so IEDs can be mounted on a commercial drone and which can be dropped precisely with the accuracy, pinpoint accuracy on particular location and particular time.
And there is a difference between a normal drone that is being sent for surveillance and a drone that is being sent with a payload.
Yes, there is a difference between the surveillance drones and as well as the combat drones. The combat drones also have stealth capabilities which cannot be detected by any radars, incoming radars.
Surveillance drones can be
They can be detected by drones, the radars. It depends on, and most of these combat drones which are used by the Americans or even the Pakistanis in 2015 case, they are used in the midnight to evade any sort of monitoring or surveillance. Because midnight, you see, it's like some stars. So even if it blinks, or it may not be detected by the radars, because of there is a RFC capabilities, which is very technical. I don't want to dwell into those technical details. These combat draft has that RFC capabilities. So now coming to this particular point, the LET is now it seems that LET is being upgraded its modus operandi. And I have a strong feeling that the deep state of Pakistan would have trained the LET to get this sophisticated technology, or the usage of the sophisticated technology for tactical purpose. Why they have done this and why they have acquired this technology? There are two reasons. One, there is a sword hanging over the deep state, particularly this FATF. So Pakistan has been trying to get out of this FATF scrutiny for so long, and that affects their seeking funding for their military equipments, buying military equipments. So the FATF is a big thing, and that's the reason that they don't want to get these LD terrorist organization which is operating from their soil get caught by their act, the terrorist act. So you remember, you must remember, when 2008 attack happened, when there was a report emerged that it is done by LET, the propaganda machine, Pakistani propaganda machine, pushed that it is done by the homegrown terrorist groups. Similarly, a similar pattern also emerged when the attack happened. The next day, you see most of these Pakistani media are saying that this is done by freedom fighters of the other side, and they wanted to do it. So now the question is, even if the freedom fighters or the so-called, they say that the Kashmiris would have done it, they don't have to do it in Jammu. They would have done it in Kashmir. So
Also the timing. The timing is of course issue, that why now? Why not before? Why not maybe a year later?
yeah, the timing is precisely now, because of the sole reason that now the American troops are leaving Afghanistan, and India has activated its diplomatic proactivism. I could see that, talking to all the stakeholders, including Taliban, that irritated Pakistans. And you must remember, the LET, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the Haqqani network, which is right now the backbone behind the Taliban resurgence, or the Taliban fighters in Afghanistan. And they're having that network, the network of Islamist terrorist groups. So in that context, if you see from that, and they must be foreseeing that how to weaken or India's focus, or limit India's focus to Kashmir, so they won't stretch towards Afghanistan. So maybe these organizations must be trying to create this sort of sense of insecurity. So now the entire India will be focused only on Kashmir, or Jammu and Kashmir, and then that would be the security focus. They won't stretch up to Afghanistan.
Don't you think that if that was the case, like you mentioned, that the drones would have been flying in Kashmir, why Jammu? Why these regions particularly?
See, in the why reason is, most of these terrorist organization, particularly the LET operating from across the border, after the surgical strike 2016 and Balakot, they have shifted their bases towards this side, particularly the other side. This is because this is very safe for them, and it is also close to the small towns and villages. It is a habitated place, but compared to the Kashmir other side, reason. So the B is that the retaliation. Suppose even if we got the evidence, if you wanted to retaliate, you will not be able to. For instance, suppose if you see from this our Suchetgarh border, and the other side is a Sialkot, and then in between there is a village. There are villages and human populations are there. So you can't go and bomb, or even if you wanted to retaliate, you don't have to. You can't go. Your forces cannot go to hunt for terrorist groups. Unlike the terrains in Puri, Uri, or Poonch sectors, there are tough terrains, and you can easily able to pinpoint and locate the groups operating from their sites. You can easily detect from the satellite. But here you can't. They must be living in the village. So these guys must be trained guys, must be living in the midst of the population in the village, and they can launch it on the go to the terrace, and they launch the things, and the range is close. And all our strategic assets, the most of the air bases like Pathankot bases, or even this Jammu air bases, are on the close proximity to the borders.
But what does it mean for the security scenario where you already have terrorists who are, going on with unpredicted attacks in some places, then there are IED attacks, and now you have drone track technology as well. So what does it mean for the security scenario in J&K, that now every day there's a new news that near this military base there is a drone hovering, there this IAF station, now this attack has happened?
See, what is I think this is going to be a big challenge for the security forces, and particularly the base security, or the peripheral security, or you call it military base security. We need to secure our assets, because this would demoralize the forces. That's the reason that you might have seen the lot of attacks, terrorist attacks happened on the army bases, being it the Sunjwan attack, or even Kaluchak attack, and the Pathankot air base attack. We have seen these are the aim to demoralize and convey the point. See, you guys are not safe in your own, the safest zone. So now, when they send the men across the border, and they can be easily killed, or there is an evidence that you can go and show that this is the number of attacks happened, and that will have repercussions in the FATF and all. But now using the drone, you cannot able to get the drones. Because even the Jammu drone, the Jammu Air Base drones, we could not able to trace how it came and how it gone and which drone had come and gone. So and then even if you get the drones, they can easily say that it's not owned by us. It must be owned by the local, the so-called.
Even if it was manufactured there, it was not operated by us.
Yeah, it's not operated by us, even if it is manufactured. See, most of the drones, you cannot, there is no signature, the technology signature on the drones, such combat drones. Because they knew that if it gets caught or if it's some failure, technical snag, so they may be able to trace back and get the evidence. So they erase those signatures, the technical signatures or digital signatures on the drones. And the other reason is that, so this is a big challenge for the security forces, and we never anticipated, because we always react to the situation, and then you upgrade yourself. So now it is it's like an awakening for us to look for how to handle this sort of menace, and it is going to be the future menace from the other side. You hardly see now. We could have anticipated this thing when 2 years back, when they were using the drones to drop drugs, grenades, AK-47, or even other stuff in this Samba and Kathua, this belt, this particular area. It's an international border. The other thing is that international border, the surveillance is not that, like the LOC. So LOC is very difficult. The army is guarding, and there are a lot of 24/7 surveillance and future. But here the surveillance, there are a lot of loopholes. They are exploiting those loopholes, particularly the point from Gurdaspur stretching to this Kathua belt. So this is for them it's like. The third point, the drone, it is called a cross drone terrorism, or they using the technology, exploiting the technology. So this is also sort of reflects the frustration that they were not able to send the men to cross the border to perpetrate terrorist activities, given the tighten the securities and along the borders. So that's a reason. And there is no, at the top level, the political level, there is no way that there will be some dialogue or talk to the both levels. So I think this is a low intensity. They will able to operate at the local level.
But is our military well equipped to not only take on this challenge but also retaliate if it comes to that?
See, we are equipped to tackle these challenges, but only thing is we just now anticipated. Now we understood this new modus operandi. I think we have a system in place to retaliate. But the point is that we should anticipate and build up the scenario. What are the other possibilities that the drones can be used? Now the Jammu Air Base, it may be used on some other locations or some other assets. For instance, we have a lot of fuel things and ammunition depots, and these are the things. So they must anticipate it and do some sort of precautionary measures to prevent. And so this will be the reality tomorrow. It has become a reality now. So we are not safe that anything may come over our things and be dropped.
Another thing that it is being speculated that the drones might be getting operated from POJK, and also that China might have a hand in it. So do you think that they might have a hand in it?
See, again I'm telling you that I don't think so. The Chinese had given such a capable drones to Pakistan because of the technological regime which prevents any states to hand over any such technologies clandestinely after this nuclear things, all these things. But you are right, this must be operated from the POJK. And now why POJK, particularly these sectors, that's because they get a camouflage, the population became a camouflage for them to operate instead of operating in a jungle in Uri, Poonch, the other sectors, and this would be help them, so they cannot be traced. And the drone, you don't need a separate infrastructure for them to launch. So you go to the terrace or any of the buildings or open ground, you can launch it from Sialkot or even the adjacent villages, and they may not be able to track, because most of our the early warning systems are primarily focused on detecting any flights or fighter crafts which when it takes off from the other side.
Now, regarding the draft policy that has come, Government of India just notified the draft rules regarding drones, and that appears as if they're trying to relax the policy that usually governs drone technology. Earlier, you needed a lot of licenses, a lot of formalities were required if you wanted to operate a drone, and now it is being made easier that if a business wants to operate drone or if an individual wants to operate drone, the rules are being made easy. So, will that pose as a new challenge as well? Like you specifically mentioned that there are different categories of drones, but then again now you have more people who have this drone technology in their hands. Will that pose a new challenge?
Yeah, that's what we are coming out with a policy. We don't have a policy, and now we are coming out. We are going to get a policy, and it is very important. See, there are. This is primarily look at the domestic regulation. Who should buy? Who should use the commercial drones or the quadcopters? What are the policy? The terms and conditions, the rules for using the quadcopters for different purposes like journalistic purposes or even other purposes. I think it's a very welcome step. But what we need is a separate standalone drone counter drone doctrine at the operation level at the military for the military and armed forces. I would suggest that the drone policy, apart from this the draft drone policy, we need to have a separate doctrine to tackle this menace. Operational doctrine that should be specified for the Air Force and Army and the border security forces, because the border security forces are the forefront, particularly in this border. So there should be specified doctrines, the counter drone doctrines that needs to be evolved in the futuristic scenario. For instance, if you able to trace that evidence that this attack has happened, perpetrated from across the border, and there are strong prima facie that signature and evidence it is done by the military, then we need to have a SOPs that how we should react to it and respond to it at operation level for the army commanders and the BSF force commanders and the Air Force commanders.
But why I asked about this draft policy is that if you give the drone technology in the hands of every individual, like you have people in Kashmir operating drones, you do not know what kind of information, even if it is just in the form of imagery or videos, what kind of information is being sent across border, what kind of information is being shared across border that could prove detrimental to our national security. So why do you think that this also needs to be regulated, that in places that are conflict regions or in places that need to be a little more sensitive, drone technology needs to be regulated a little more?
Yeah, already there are policy in place, but this draft policy specifies that what are the range that one can use, the civilians can use, and that depends on the locations. Like in Jammu and Kashmir is different, the Kashmir is different, Jammu is different. So there is a lot of specifications. This much range from airport or the military areas that you can't use even the civilian purposes. You can't use it. For instance, Mumbai or Bangalore or some other purposes you can use. There are some relaxations given, specifications given in the draft drone policy. I think it is very important.
It is
Very important. It's very critical.
And towards the end, I would just like to understand that now where do we move on from this? Once this technology has been, given in the hands of every individual, and also military is also using drone technology, what does it mean for, the kind of war that will be, fought from now onwards? It cannot be all ammunition and missiles. Now it's up to the drones. So what kind of future do you see?
See, the future wars or battles are going to be fought by the machines. And now we are also talking about artificial intelligence, the role of artificial intelligence in the armed forces, in a battlefield, or even the in terms of future war. So we need to upgrade quickly, because now technology is rapidly changing, and according to we have to adapt to this such sophisticated technology. I think the future it's going to be like not the battle between the men, it's going to be battle between the machines, and men are going to operate behind the machines.
Thank you so much. So you've heard that drone technology has come, and now we need to adapt to it. We need to make sure that we have upgraded ourselves, upgraded our SOPs, and upgraded in such a manner that whenever a new challenge comes, we are ready to face it.